There are many different types of stress, and one thing I have learned is that stress is never straightforward. Sometimes you think you're stressed when you're not, and sometimes you think you're not stressed when you are. The way to measure it is through heart rate variability, and what I'm going to go over is different examples of how stress has affected different clients in the past. What you can see here is that the green is the good stuff, is the restorative stuff. The blue is a physical exercise, and red is actually the general stress. So, and then also, sorry, the black line is your heart rate. So, generally speaking, you want to make sure that you're not going into a negative state, so into a negative battery level, shall we say. So if your starting level was here and you're ending up this after a few days, even weeks, then you're going to go into problems. And problems being colds or poor performance at work, or your emotional state will be maybe a little bit fragile. There's lots of different negative effects, shall we say. What you do want is a topping up of your battery life. And now it doesn't always happen, but what's really important is that you understand where the stresses are coming from in your lifestyle and where you get your recovery. So, first example is of someone who has a good social life and has a few likes a few alcoholic beverages, as do we all. But the problem with this is that you can see that there's absolutely no restorative state or benefit in the sleep. Um, this is an example of the same individual, and you can see that they are getting a bit better of the green stuff, and they are getting that health benefit, that recovery, so they are increasing their battery levels. But even during the day, there's very little restorative or recovery going on. So if you were that in that person's shoes, you would find that the starting level, you can see where they were drinking the social life here, typically over the weekend, that you're sort of starting your Monday in a decreased, your resources decreased, your battery level is decreased. Now, of course, that is not sustainable. And again, it's going to be very difficult for you to get any results in the gym. If you were to continue that kind of way of life, especially long term, chronically, you're going to lead to big problems. Here's an example of someone who is overweight and the effect of exercise on them. So you can see that this massively increased heart rate throughout the day. Yes, there's, I suppose, a small bit of walking around going on. But if you were to do that consecutive days, hard sessions for somebody who's overweight, it's going to be problematic. They're going to burn out effectively, and it wouldn't be a sustainable approach. So anyone who is overweight, it's really worth doing one of these assessments to figure out how exercise is affecting you. This is an example of someone who is a very fit individual, but had no idea that their sort of late afternoon exercise activities was affecting their sleep. And you can see there are several hours of wasted time when they were, inverted commas, asleep, but not getting any restorative benefit. This is a similar example, someone who also is very fit, lots of aerobic activity during the day, but didn't have a restorative process despite being asleep by about 10:30 until about probably 1:30 at night. This is an example of someone who actually was quite in tune with their, I suppose, their physiology. They realized they knew that the driving was stressing them out, so you can see here, but they were also getting enough recovery in general. So really, things like that are not a problem. Where it might be a problem is if you were perhaps driving, if your job was driving, or there was lots of travel, you would know that that'd be very tiring, and then you could basically accommodate or manage it because you know the impact that it has on you. This isn't always the case, however. Um, this is an example of someone who thought that they were stressed. You can see this afternoon. So having a stressful afternoon didn't actually, or wasn't actually the case with their physiology. So it's important. That's an important lesson. You actually, this is not an area which is depleting your battery. Um, and then another example of someone who believed that they were not sleeping well. So there are lots of potential reasons for this, but ultimately you can see that there's lots of thick green bars. Yes, a couple of moments where they maybe have woken up or physiology slightly changed, but in general, very, very good, and had no reason to worry, even though they were concerned about not getting good sleep. And actually, I think a lot of it was attributed to their wearable, which was saying that they weren't getting sleep, but these devices are not not accurate enough, and I would sort of warn against seeing them as an accurate way of measuring it. And lastly, it's an example of someone who would take naps to enhance their energy levels. However, you can see here during this nap time there was no restorative state. So again, things like environment are important when you're looking to sort of wind down. But hopefully that gives you some idea as to how everyone is different, how stress really is so variable in between individuals, and how it's not straightforward. And for any of those who that are maybe questioning the quality of their sleep or concerned that they're maybe doing some long-term damage, it's really worth having one of these assessments just to find out what's going on.